and it's over 100 already, is that she's Senior Vice President of Delta Holding from Serbia. And Delta Holding is a large Serbian holding company operating across the Balkans and performing a variety of services, including in real estate, wholesale, agribusiness. So we'll have a lot to talk with her as well. We also have another distinguished person from Serbia. It's Mihailo Vesovic. He's Director of Division for Strategic Analysis Services and Internationalization from the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia. Mihailo, great to have you with us. Thank you. And the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia, as well as in other countries, is a general representative of the business community in Serbia, advocating and protecting the interest of companies and local and other entrepreneurs, members of the chamber itself. We have with us Katarina Zavodna. Katarina, that was excellent. It was in a way it should be. Fantastic. Yeah. Exactly. So it's she's CEO of Skanska's Commercial Development Unit in Central and Eastern Europe. Skanska is a multinational construction and development company. So we'll be more than happy to share thoughts and evaluations coming from Katarina. So did I miss anybody? Not so far. No. Yes, I did. We have already with us Ms. Ümit. Boyner, great to have you. Do you hear me? No, I need your voice to hear, definitely. Otherwise,
yes, I can hear you. I hope the connection is good.
Now it's just fine. And just everybody to be aware, Ms. Boyner is founding president of the executive board, Businesses for Goals platform. She's from Turkey. It's established by Takafed, by TUSAID and UNDP just a year ago in 2019. And the Business for Goals platform serves as a platform open to all companies willing to integrate the SDGs into their corporate policies and strategies, and to all other stakeholders, including the public sector, seeking various partnerships. So great to have you with us as well. And so far, guys, I do have the final intro, which is gonna be personally for me the most difficult to pronounce, because she's also from Georgia, and I'm not so familiar with Georgian names and surnames, but her name is quite familiar worldwide. Nino Zambahidze is a well-known person in Georgia, chairwoman of Georgian Farmers Association, and it's an umbrella organization actually with over 600 members and advocates on farmers and private sector needs. Unfortunately, till today, Nino was the person whom I know the best. It's not her own title, but I think I will have a chance to speak with you later on after this session. So let me proceed, because as I'm just instructed right now, we will have additionally some others to join or not. But if any, and I think all of them are here so far, it's nine of us, including myself. And let me proceed with the first question. And my first question goes to Victoria Yarmoshuk. And I want to ask her to describe a partnership of her company led by her to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic and its main achievement, and how can partnership with Victoria Creative Industries provide advantages and new opportunities for sustainable development. So just remember that you have 3 minutes, and go ahead. The floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. This is my pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me here. I'm Victoria Yarmoshuk, and I represent the biggest production company in Ukraine. This is like not a production company, this is a creative powerhouse, which is the biggest in Ukraine and one of the biggest in Eastern Europe. And we find those times to be really challenging for us, but at the same time, they provide a lot of opportunities. I was just prepared to say something. I have like a agenda to say, but what I decided to tell you, that what we actually produce, we produce emotions and we produce stories, which actually we hope make better. And this is the best time to continue doing that and to facilitate this, because in these challenging times, all we need positive emotions, and we really hope that we contribute to that. One of the interesting and maybe not surprising, but partnerships which we had, we partnered with the biggest holding company which provides energy to our country. This is the tech company. They run power plants all around the country, and we partnered with them. And while their people were in lockdown, you know, they suffered a lot because they were just separated from their families, from their friends, and from their homes, and they actually were in a lockdown. And we provided them with our best movies. We engage stars. They just make their personal appeals to those people. And when we saw these smiles on their faces, when we saw their emotion, we really felt that we are doing something together. We also plan to make a documentary movie about those people who are actually heroes, like the doctors. And in case there is no energy, you know, there is nothing. You could not sustain hospitals. You cannot sustain any other things with our things which are important to our life. And we really felt that we get together in this situation, and we help each other. We wanted to do at least something just to support them. This is like one of the good experiences we had.
Fantastic. We'll have additional chance through the panel to speak additionally, Victoria. Thank you so much for your intro.
Thank you.
I'm moving to Volodymyr Kostyuk. Volodymyr is he's also from Ukraine, and who just missed. Volodymyr is CEO of joint stock company Pharmak. And my question to Volodymyr is the following: I really want to be aware about the partnership Pharmak led to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic and its main achievement. The whole world is watching you guys and pharmaceutical companies. And also, what opportunity does Pharmak see in the partnership as one of the largest pharmaceutical unit and manufacturer in Ukraine? Go ahead.
Thank you very much as a speaker. And during the pandemic, I would say that the importance of the partnership at various levels has been growing significantly. So I would like to divide these partnerships maybe in three different categories. The first category, I would like to say that it's business and the state. The second category is the business and business, and the third one is business and organizations. I would like to stop on each of them in more details. In Ukraine, the most hospitals are funded by the state. Private medicines, it accounts about 15% of total medical services. And during the pandemic, the state was not able to respond quickly to the growth of demand for specific equipment and specific medicines. The business was very active and joined to support the state function. Pharmak, together with the Zhebrovsky Family Charity Foundation, have separated some amount of resources, and we provided some lung ventilators, we provided some medical products for the hospitals, we provided personal protective suits, hand sanitizers, some ultra-diagnostic systems, and another equipment to 17 hospitals in various regions of Ukraine. And also, I would like to say that the government also, they are replied accordingly. The registration of the medicines needed to fight the pandemic was, this procedure was simplified. A zero rate for tax on pure alcohol, which we're using for sanitizers, was also introduced in Ukraine. The import of drugs for fight coronavirus was carried out preliminarily without any duties and taxes according to new legislation. National pharmaceutical production, I would say that it is a guarantee of security and independence of every state. Europe and US are discussing process of institution, but we understand it's possible to close the borders completely, and we need to find some boundaries. Pharma supplied medicines to Ukrainian market, and we export our products to almost 30 different countries in this time of pandemic. One or few of our products were, which were, how to say, they helped to fight the complete of COVID-19. We supplied to different countries, including the well-regulated countries like UK, Sweden, etc. And we were able to do this because our production is certified according to European requirements. And this is the partnership in the name on goal to win, to have a victory over the coronavirus. Or the first part of partnership. The second partnership is
Volodymyr, we do not have the best quality.
It's like business, and we are a market leader.
Yeah, please just keep the idea, and whenever I will come back to you, we will have a chance to resume the idea, because the final part was the worst for the quality of the sound. So, and I'm just moving to the next speaker, but I will definitely come back to you. Before that, I want to say hello to Mr. Wojciech Horciak. He's CEO of PKP Energetic. Great. So that's why I'm saying I'm just checking the connection. So great to have you with us. I think we're all set, and I'll definitely come back to you. Before that, my question goes to Ms. Boyner, which is representing quite unique type of partnership, which is B4G. And I'm definitely interested in reality that just could you describe 4G and the partnership B4G led to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as its main achievement, because the pandemic reminded the private sector how important is it to be resilient in the times of crisis. And do you reflect on this partnership in creating resiliency, among businesses itself? Go ahead.
Business for Goals is an initiative that works with a platform way of working model. As a platform, we aim to increase the responsible engagement of the private sector to integrate the sustainable development goals into their corporate policies and strategies. As you've mentioned, our platform was established by 3 major institutions in Turkey, 2 of which represent big business as well as SMEs, and it covers a very large number of close to like 40,000 different companies. And our third partner is UNDP. So in that sense, it's quite unique. Even though these 3 organizations are our partners, our partnerships are not limited to them. We have an inclusive structure, and it does not have a membership or a fee-based system. When COVID-19 first appeared, we have been well aware of what was happening on the globe about the crisis, even though the outbreak started to spread relatively late in Turkey. In that period, we understood that we needed to be prepared. While responding to the pandemic, the partnership helped us to reach enterprises and assess their needs from all scales. We conducted 2 surveys which assessed the perceptions, readiness, and impact of the crisis on the enterprises. The first one was realized in the first 15 days after the first COVID case, and we published our second survey's results last week. We will continue conducting pulse surveys to produce regular updates while the crisis evolves, and we share them with the public and also government agencies. We use the outcomes of these surveys in transforming our ongoing programs to meet the needs, especially of the vulnerable SMEs, and to spread our findings to the public audience for policy dialogue. In the meantime, we organize many webinars on thematic areas such as work security, the future of trade, the crisis's impact on women in business life, the digitalization journey for SMEs, and analysis of the economic situation. To sum up, I can say that B4G's main achievement was to mobilize quickly and establish a daily coordination mechanism to be in dialogue with many stakeholders and to serve as a hub for knowledge exchange. We saw that in this crisis, the most important positive thing has been coordination between different aspects of the society for the socio-economic impact it's having in all aspects of life. About the resilience, it has never been this important. It describes the ability to adapt to changes, and today we experience one of the biggest crises that we have seen. As a platform, we're preparing ourselves to other disasters as well. As you know, Turkey is a high-risk country in terms of earthquakes, and we have activities to build capacity of the business associations to help local communities during the recovery period. I would also like to highlight that obviously climate change is still a priority area in our agenda, and other man-made disasters. While we are responding to the COVID-19 crisis, we continued our work on circular economy to engage private sector into a sustainable and responsible way of working. The existence of COVID-19 doesn't make other crises any less important, since there is really no end in sight. This is why improving private sector's role in the climate change agenda and fundamental rights is our long-term commitment. Before I finish, I would like to also mention our partnership with Global Compact Turkey Network on reducing plastic use and upcoming human rights perspective for businesses during times of crisis.
Thank you, Ümit, so much. And we will remain in Turkey because our next panelist is Mr. Hakan Balgalı. Great to have you with us again. And I really want to be aware of some brief description of the partnership your company led to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic and its challenges, and also how to tell us more about your organization, how it's keep focused on sustainability, which is one of the challenging issue happening around in the midst of so many pressing issues such as climate crisis and plastic waste, was also mentioned previously. And how do you see the importance of partnerships within this focus? So next 3 minutes remains with you.
Thank you, Georgie. 3 minutes is not much time, but I'll do my best. I think a powerful example of a partnership that we've just managed to execute with great success is manufacturing ventilators, mechanical ventilators, which have been in great shortage during the COVID period, not just in Turkey. In fact, Turkey was well prepared, but places like Brazil, Somalia, parts of Africa, Pakistan, Bangladesh, I mean, the list is very, very long. And within 2 weeks, actually, just 2 short weeks, we were able to produce a mechanical ventilator, which is a very complex machine using many sensors, and obviously it's life critical. So this is not a device that you can have software glitches or quality issues with. We partnered with the Ministry of Industry, the Ministry of Health, and 2 defense industry companies in Turkey, Baykar and Aselsan, and took a startup's design, worked on the design, improved it greatly, improved the software, and within 2 weeks, the first products came off the production line. This Saturday, we will have produced 5,000 units, which have been shipped all over the world, including the United States, by the way.
Hakan, I'm sorry, and before that, Arçelik didn't have any experience of doing this ventilator units?
We had no experience whatsoever. Yes, we have never produced a ventilator. We produce appliances, washing machines, refrigerators, and but this shows you the power technology and engineering. We've been investing in R&D and innovation for 25 years. On the World Intellectual Property Organization's patent applications list, Arçelik is number 67. So that comes in above Boeing, above Microsoft, just to give you an example. All of this investment in engineering power actually led us to be able to produce such a life-saving piece of equipment. And now we expect to go on producing as long as this COVID pandemic continues. This is a powerful example to partnership because Ümit Boyner is doing an amazing job by utilizing business platforms and experiences to share them with SMEs and the UNDP's experience. But what I find is when you're faced by a crisis, getting together the right strengths at the right speed is critical. And today we look at the pandemic as a huge issue that the world is dealing with. But let me tell you, it is no bigger than a bow and arrow comparing it to a nuclear bomb, which is the coming climate crisis. The world will have to deal with something which is not temporary, where there is no vaccine. And by today's standards, we're already very late in rolling back the carpet. So I think it's corporate leaders, especially large business platforms leaders like myself and my team, have a unique responsibility in bringing those partnerships together to create solutions for the coming climate crisis. Now, not just, you can't just look at big businesses and governments and NGOs and new platforms like Ümit, but you need to look at startups. In the case of the ventilator, the owner of the design and the IP was a tiny startup with 3 engineers, but it turned out to produce a solution. And if you will recall, Tesla, NASA, GE, Dyson, these are all giant companies with technological capabilities. They all promised to produce ventilators, but none of them actually have managed to produce any. And that is the powerful of the right partnership. When you bring the right skill set together and resources, and you have the right intent, I think you can bring a solution. And this is the approach we need for the coming climate problem. Now, you asked me about sustainability and how we maintain focus on that. It's difficult because COVID obviously is taking everyone's attention. But as I mentioned, if we don't focus on it, COVID is going to be like a little peanut that we have to deal with. And it's the same thing with plastics. For example, the more you focus on microplastics in the oceans, the harder it becomes when you're actually using single-use plastics now because of COVID PPE, and also the price of oil crashed, which means recycled plastic use is going down dramatically. These are dynamic problems. They change all the time. You have to change your approach all the time. But one thing has to be constant and consistent. As a corporate entity, you need to make sure that sustainability is at the top of your agenda, because that's what consumers expect from you, and that's what they will reward in the long term. You can't adjust it to short-term waves and changes in opinion. Anyway, I won't take more time. I think that's my 3 minutes.
Fantastic. What I've created before I will move to the next panel is that whenever we talk more than 3 minutes, the quality of the video and the audio is getting worse and worse. So we should keep this momentum. But thanks again to my previous panelists for the very interesting content what they just created. It's really Forbes panel, and why it is, I will just make it later on in my resume speech or whatever it's called. My next question goes to Maria Devisovic-Cvetkovic. Great to have you, and she will share with us the experience of Delta Holding, how they responded to the COVID-19 pandemic and its main achievement, and how is this partnership institutionalized in your company, within your company, and within your organization, please.
Well, first of all, I have to say that we think that this pandemic actually strengthens our partnership with all stakeholders. And our most important partners turned out to be actually our employees. And we once again saved our businesses with their extraordinary actions. And our primary responsibility was to protect their health and the health of their families and thus protected the entire community. But also in addition to this, we had our several ad hoc CSR activities that we needed to support our medical system, which was in the need. So for more than 2 months, one of our hotels, Crown Plaza Hotel Belgrade, prepared 150 meals each day for the staff of the 3 COVID hospitals here in Belgrade. Also, we bought a disinfection tunnel and donated it to one of the hospitals. At the same time, we invested all our efforts in saving our businesses, so because that is actually the basis for saving the company and all our partners that depend on us, and of course it was our contribution to the state budget. But what I would like to actually put a light on is our project that is called Our Village, and that is one of a kind project that we lead, and the aim of this project is to support local agriculture and renewal of Serbian villages. And this project is now implemented in 2 villages in eastern Serbia, and its aim is to help small producers in enhancing agricultural production by gaining new knowledge, so by education and of course by financial support. So we did this with a wide range of partners throughout Serbia that included Erste Bank, which provided credit lines, which we as a company paid the interest rates, with our Serbian Chamber of Commerce, with the Canadian Serbian Chamber of Commerce, with Telecom Serbia, and with a lot of different companies that are here in Serbia. So we did the project all together. During the COVID pandemic, it was very hard for our producers to have help from our agricultural engineers because they couldn't go and see their orchards or their farms because of the curfew and limitation of gathering. So we try to use new technologies in order for them to be able to make photos of their farms and the plants, and then our engineers gave them all the knowledge that they needed. Also, we found, because the open markets here in Serbia were closed, we found a way to actually deliver their products to our employees, which is almost 5,000 people here in Serbia. So our employees both had fresh products on their doorsteps, and also our village producers had the way to actually sell their products.
Thank you so much. That's why all your speech went on the best quality as it is, because you remained in your 3 minutes. Thank you so much, Marita. So my next question goes and still remains in Serbia, but Mr. Vesovic, he's covering and his responsibility is a bit broader than ourselves, because he represents the Serbian Chamber of Commerce, and they are responsible for various companies advocating their interests. And my question to Mr. Vesovic is, what is the main challenge still you need to overcome during this unprecedented period, and what you could personally highlight during this period, which was soon done for you?
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be the part of this summit and exchanging the experiences. I must say that it was a tough time, last 3 months, I must say, for everyone of us. But in general, what proved to be the most efficient way to handle this kind of crisis, which was not actually at the beginning an economic crisis, it was a health crisis, which put the economy a little bit aside as a question. But what was our main goal is basically to keep the businesses, essential businesses, running, and to keep the essential flow of goods, not just inside of the country as a supply chains, but generally cross-border businesses. And that was the biggest challenge that we have to handle. What was of key importance that basically the Serbian companies, our members, proved to be much more specialized in the sense of fighting this kind of crisis, in the sense that everybody responded very quickly. The essential thing was communication. We had to have the firm communication with our members to see what's going on actually on the ground. It was not a question of what the government decisions were made at the right time, but basically the businesses had to keep running. And that was not possible at some point of time because of the lockdown because of the closing of the borders, and the exact information at the right time was the most important. So what we done, first thing that we done at the beginning of the crisis, we established the crisis channel. We called it COVID-19, which was basically that government reaches decision this morning. We publicize it immediately, and we made companies actually look at the website, which was spreading the information momentarily, because in 24 hours, the conditions rapidly changed, and that is most important. We have to have this clear communication channel. Other thing that was at our side is basically that government invited us as a chamber to represent the business community inside of the crisis groups that were established by the government, and we had a firm voice, not just advocating what is going on currently, but also what are the economic measures that government has to give immediately, just to give the safety and at least minimal amount of the predictability for the businesses, which is also very important. So first we were working on stabilizing the supply chains, the secure of the goods that were crossing the borders, the basic food production and chemical and household production to reach the customers. Second thing that we did during the lockdown is basically we were involved with our Ministry of Interior Affairs to issue the permits for the essential businesses to keep running during the lockdown. And at the end, we were part of the government group that reached to some in a sense of economic support measures that helped companies, at least for the first 2 or 3 months, to overcome what was the most important, biggest problem. And I just should mention that we were involved in the Western Balkans as a region, establishing easier transport of essential goods, so-called green corridors.
Thank you, Mihailo, so much. Very interesting. I do have some questions, and I will remain it later on within 1 minute, what we will have additionally chance to chat. And I'm moving to Katerina Zawodna. She's representing Skanska, and I will be a bit specific in this regard. While having representative of the top management of Skanska with us, is that company, Skanska itself, as a huge office developer, how it has happened and how they managed to help and strengthen its partnership with tenants and investors. Katerina, at the same period, and can you share a main achievements through a partnership during this unprecedented period?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. Yes, we've heard about devastating consequences of coronavirus across the globe many times during last months, during this conference itself. It's been a tough time for all of us. But I also believe that it's the opportunity in that crisis, that it can be a catalyst for changes which will allow us to build more resilient societies. And here I would like to share a bit of how and what we are doing in Skanska. In Skanska, we are focused on building sustainable cities. We are building strong partnerships to develop cities together with all the stakeholders, starting with local authorities, communities we are active in through our subcontractors, tenants, delivering them sustainable and healthy workplaces to investors. To do that, we need to have a stable and strong partnerships in business. And especially now in the pandemic, we know that we are better together. In those challenging times, protecting the health and livelihood of our coworkers, suppliers, customers, and communities is our absolutely top priority. So starting with simple things, keeping our obligations, caring for our business partners' health and well-being through the way we act, the way we organize our sites. There is like thousands of people working on our sites every day, paying invoices on time to make sure that our subcontractors, they can keep their liquidity. So caring for our value chain to simply protect jobs. So caring for each other and for the environment can be the answer actually for more resilient future. As Skanska, we are on that journey for many years, delivering future-proof places for people, for their better experience in working and living. And we do that through the multiple partnerships. And of course, here I will mention some that are maybe not strictly related with the crisis itself, but shows that there are tools and technologies that will allow us to build a more resilient world going forward. Because I think it's extremely important that we remember about long-term vision, not forgetting about that while fighting with crisis. So, for example, partnering with solar technologies, we are supporting the development, the pure R&D technology of perovskites technology that will allow us to create the energy using the whole surface of the buildings, taking a huge step in creating CO2 neutral buildings. It's a semi-transparent technology. Together with Heidelberg Group, we are developing a green concrete that cleans air from car pollution, being used for pavements around our investments. So those are our long-term partnerships, just like a couple of examples. But right now, what we are additionally doing, we are educating the market. We are sharing our expertise and experience from, for example, the process of coming back to the office, our learnings, our lessons learned, and like all the tools that we are using. Through that very systematic approach, we can make a difference. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Katarina. And so I hope that my voice is still on. Again, I want to present Mr. Wojciech because we were out of some time while he got engaged to our panel. Again, just small brief about himself as a CEO of PKP Energetyka, which is one of the leading energy companies in Poland and the sole energy provider for the Polish railway and its own nationwide distribution network. And my question remains with the company itself. At PKP Energetyka, what partnerships are needed to achieve your long-term strategy in times of crisis? And could you be more specific in regards of some example giving us for this panel?
Thank you. So the first question that needs to be addressed is if it makes sense to continue implementing the company's long-term strategy during the crisis. And in a company, as a team, we believe that if the strategy is sound and takes all its stakeholders into account, then yes, we should do that. And now, to cope with any challenging situation, a company needs to already have well-established partnerships inside and outside the company, so that you can lean on those partnerships during the crisis or pandemic. And it is crucial to create them early on, long before the crisis appears. From internal perspective, our company is proud to have 4 key values: quality, safety, employee engagement, and efficiency. And remembering about those values, in the face of pandemic, we focused internally on 2 priorities: health security of employees, and second, continuity of operations and services provided. And let me mention about one of the projects that we implemented. We established 12 independent and fully isolating dispatching centers. These are hearts of energy company, with a group of 90 dispatchers who were working in safe conditions in total isolation for 2 months, 60 days. This was possible to do because of the full engagement and the partnership that we were able to build with our employees. And when it comes to outside world, during the pandemic, common sense and close collaboration of entire railway sector were needed. And this is why we initiated the Always on Duty campaign. It showed how hard railway employees were working during the pandemic, and most companies in the sector responded very positively to the campaign: carriers, infrastructure operators, suppliers. And this action united us and showed our joint strength. And coming to the second part of your question, part of our strategy is related with climate change, and COVID-19 has not changed anything in that. The railway is the backbone of electromobility and should be a leader of change. So electric railways are already the most energy efficient means of transportation. And now time has come to extend this description to include power sources that we can say that railway is fully green and as a zero emission mode of transport for people and goods. And in Poland, the entire industry is working on Green Railway program. It is a partnership of almost 100 entities within the Energy Efficiency Center. And the promise is that together we can build a dispersed, green, intelligent power plant with almost 2 gigawatts power of energy from sun and wind. And this model, Green Railway model, is fully replicable and can be applied in any country in the world. And that's the example of our partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wojciech. My final panelist is she's from Georgia. She's Nino Zambakhidze. Nino Zambakhidze is, as I mentioned previously, a very good friend of mine, and we're both from Georgia. And my question is quite, what to say, a bit simple, because I've covered this question various times. The Farmers Associations, which is presented by Nino, she's the chairwoman of this association, having more than 4,000 members. I was a bit missed in my intro, but during this unprecedented period, Nino, together with her partners, they created a fantastic platform called Ertianova, which is Unity. And I want to ask her to describe a partnership led by this platform, Unity, Ertianova, to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic and its main achievement, and also worth to mention how local businesses were engaged and involved, or even governmental representatives, how do they support local communities through public-private partnerships? Go ahead, Nina.
Georgi, thank you very much. Good day, everyone. It is a really great honor for me to be with you here today. But before starting my speech, I would like to express my deep condolences on the murder of George Floyd. My heartfelt sympathy goes out to his family and friends and his country. So I cannot but agree to the words of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres that the racism is abhorrent, that we all must reject, and echo his call to raise our voices against expression of racism and instances of the racist behavior whenever we will find it. If we want to live in a peaceful world, I believe that each and every one of us should take responsibility for this to happen. So COVID-19 gave us a good lesson showing that the world challenge doesn't have any color, and success could only be achieved through the unity, solidarity, and efforts. So at the same time, it's important that in today's world, corporate social responsibility is focused and it is the best on the public welfare. In my country, strengthening corporate sustainability values like public, social, economic, environmental is a very essential, and I'm proud that I can recall a number of examples taking place in Georgia in this regard. So when COVID-19 pandemic hit the world, including Georgia, Valery Checheria, who is the CEO of Ajara Group, which is one of the biggest hospitality group in Georgia, myself and our kind friend Sandro Candelaki, who is the director of Business Accelerator Spark, created an online platform, Ertianova, which in translation means unity, which was literally assembled overnight. The platform allows online registration for both volunteers and beneficiaries, as well as provides donation opportunities and useful information plus statistic data logged online into real time via COVID map. So soon after its creation, the e-platform Ertianova Unity has become available for the ethnical minorities residing in Georgia. So the platform is now available in 6 different languages: Georgian, English, Armenian, Azeri, Kazakh and Abkhazian languages. We have mobilized 150,000 laris and involved dozens of businesses. We managed and aid 5,945 individuals, families, including people with disabilities, single mothers, low income, elderly, and many others who were struggling to survive through this difficult time. A well-trained volunteers, and it was most important, mentioned, in the first aid with regards to WHO, we're delivering food, medication, and other essential products daily to the above-mentioned beneficiaries. So we had 40 businesses and 4 donor organizations supporting our ideas and initiative. And you know, economic crisis caused by the pandemic was not able to reduce number of those willing to help, rather created the greater opportunity of care. So with the CSR values, Georgian famous artists joined the cause, and with the united forces together with the businesses like, again, as I mentioned, Najara Group and Najara Bet, hosted online fundraising concert to support those ones who were in need of our help. So together with the businesses, we continue our activity to overcome the challenge caused by COVID-19. And as you know, the most important is not to leave anyone and support as much families as we can. So that's a shortly just to tell you how Ertianovo works.
During our sessions, that shortly fantastic speech is called In Time, just in time, and thank you so much for that. Thank you for the main session, and I'm going through some each for the panelists on the rapid choice, because I asked already Victoria, and I promised her that my first question will remain to her. And my question is quite short, and we do have even shorter time, Victoria, to respond. The question is quite simple and at the same time quite difficult. But within 1 minute, you should brief us about one main lesson learned for a successful partnership during this period, or whatever remains up to the emotions. Later on, after we will have time, I will definitely ask you about positive emotions created through your company. But go ahead, the floor is yours.
The main lesson which we learned that together we are stronger, and together we can do brilliant things, and partnerships like they are ultimate. So together you can do more.
Thank you so much for being with us. I know you are a bit in a hurry, and so good luck with your day and with your agenda. Have a nice day, and thanks for your panel. And my next question goes to Marisha, which is also a bit in a hurry. I want to share your experience in regards, and also to use this momentum as a 1 minute to describe the best practice or the best lesson, however you want to deliver. Please go ahead, Marisha. No. I'm sorry, we need your voice. I cannot hear you.
Sorry, I'm here. Thank you. So adding to Victoria just said that actually the partnerships of all sectors are for sustainable corporate social responsibility projects in times of crisis is of great importance. I would add another one, which is actually that we found out that the changes in business operations are both inevitable and imperative for successful businesses. So in the coming months, we will focus on providing digital education to residents of local villages in order to close the digital gap that exists between rural and urban settlements. We will be able to organize lectures just like this conference. We will help them connect with their buyers online. We will educate them how to use e-banking and so on and so on. So we will try to help them adapt even to their children's online education, which we think is actually the future. So you have to change each and every day of both of your private and your business life in order to stay.
My best wishes and best regards to Serbia, to Delta Holding, and personal to yours. Thank you for being with us. It was pleasure, and thank you so much. My question goes, and I bit a bit on to Volodymyr from Ukraine, and because we had some technical issues, and I hope that it's been solved. And I hope that within this minute, and additionally granted from personally myself, because I interrupted because of your technical problems, you could add and share with us your experience in this regards as well, Volodymyr. So the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Georgi. Hopefully now every technical problem is solved. I know that this technical problems not only in our sessions, it's problems all over the UN Global Contact, I think. But can you hear me now? Everything is fine?
It's fantastic. Go ahead.
Okay. So I would start briefly on two more business partnerships that we are faced during this pandemic. The second one was business to business. As I said, that we are the biggest company in Ukraine, pharmaceutical company in Ukraine, and new business models has been moved. They become more important. So we used to market, to distribute our products in traditional way, but after the quarantine and after some problems with transportation of people, we start to work with a lot of online companies which were distributing and or taking the orders of pharmaceuticals, and in these cases new business-to-business partnerships arose. Another partnership which we can separate, this is business and organizations, and I would say the relevant organization cannot be underestimated during this quarantine. We're a member of Ukrainian Union of Ukrainian Entrepreneurs organization, and this organization during the quarantine, together we managed to, on the very high level in the country, to speed up development of different programs, to share our proposals for the strategy how to make a provision of medicine to the country, because we expected to have some shortages. We also the member of European Generic Medicine Association, Medicines for Europe, and we were this association. It's actively cooperates with European Commission, and they are trying to ensure the stability and not allow the shortage of medicines to be in the European Union. And also being delayed for a few months, for months or 2 months in Ukraine, we were able to move on after the situation in Europe, to ensure that the pharmaceuticals and these products are present and available in Ukraine. As a member of UN Global Contact, we understand the importance of business cooperation and prosperity and peace on the earth. Every industry is important and necessary to overcome the pandemic and economic crises. Let us support each other and unite to solve the world's problem. So this is my short introduction. Thank you very much for the possibility to finish.
Volodymyr, thank you so much. And at the same time, you are the only person who represents pharmaceutical industry during our panel. I'm not asking anything about vaccine, antidote, or how world will be saved, at least in the nearest year or months or whatever it is. But my question, and you have just 1 minute to respond. What are the best lessons learned within the pharmacy company during this unprecedented period, please?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would say that in this crisis, pharmaceutical company is not doing very well as a majority of the people are thinking. We still also have the crisis, and we also feel it. We have to change a lot of our plans because of the hospitals were closed, etc. So it's not the best times for pharma as well. But the main lessons we learned that first of all, that the strategy of IT digitalization in our company was correct, and we were able to move our people for this distant working very fast, and this is the first lesson we learned. The second lesson, that any company in the world, not dependent on how it's big, it has to be flexible. On our examples, we were managed to shift our production from one product to sanitizers for products which were needed in very short time. And I think this is the biggest lesson we can make from this crisis.
Thank you so much, Volodymyr. And my question goes to Ms. Ümit Boyner again. And you know, still I remain with the question which I really want to share a bit more. Well, within 1 minute again, that's what we have. Is B4G is really a unique partnership, what really could create some best practice samples, what you could just share with us right at the moment, please.
Actually, one of the goals that we have in working with the different companies is preparing them for more inclusive business models going forward. But during this unprecedented time, because we are a joint initiative and we have a very open structure in the platform with our partners, it has also been very important to combine that inclusiveness in our values with making sure that we have the right balance between working in cooperation, making sure that the inclusiveness value is given value to, given importance to, but it's important to clarify the ways of working together, to clarify and focus on your goals, and to build your work process on shared visions and shared goals. And especially COVID having hit us quite fast, and basically not having any prior experience with such a hard pandemic, it has been very important to organize fast and to actually take that survey very fast and actually reach some conclusions that might lead to promoting the right policy decisions between agencies, between government, in the public sphere. So inclusiveness, yes, but cooperation and shared goals also very important.
Thank you so much. And Katarina, the same question in regards of Skanska.
I can't hear you.
Thank you, Ümit. Ms. Boyner, it was just fine. Thank you so much. It was accepted and everything was heard. My next question goes to Katarina Zawodna-Biok, and my question in regards of Skanska, what are the best practice or lessons learned during this period, what you could share with us?
I think maybe I will just take it very general, that we are better together, that the business built on values, trust and relations can unify and do the great things together for the higher purpose, as Ms. Boyner mentioned before, that the values can really make a difference in the world around us. So I can give you a lot of examples that the people who normally compete and the businesses that are not normally competed can unify and like do great things to overcome the challenges. So that's a lesson learned.
Thank you. I'm moving to Hakan, who is our star of the comments, which goes through the session. That's what I wanted to admit, because I'm also running off my time. A lot of them are admitting your presentation, but at the same time, I think we will have additional comments if they will hear your brief admissions in regards of the best practices and lessons learned during this period. So, Mr. Bogolu, the floor is yours, and go ahead.
I'll be super quick. No need to repeat myself, but the power of partnerships is very obvious in a time of crisis, and it's more and more important now as we have delayed dealing with the coming climate catastrophe so late that it will take an all-out effort by all parties. This is civil society, this is NGOs, governments, but most importantly, I believe big businesses who have the resources to fight this peril. And I think startups, technologies will be critical. Just like in our ventilator story, it was a very small startup that came up with the innovation and basically the technology that was required to produce them in such a short time. Then once there's a clear path and there's disrupting technology available, and basically it's for survival, and commercial interests and competition is set aside, results are achievable. So I think this panel is very appropriately named The Power of Partnerships, because it's true, with the partnership, you can really get anything done. And unfortunately, it's so late now that the coming sort of catastrophe can only be averted with an all-out war against it. And I think this will become increasingly evident. I believe that humans are, I'm an optimist. Humans, as the problem gets bigger, will come together to solve this problem.
Thank you, Hakan.
Thank you.
Nino, could you be so kind to describe, because Unity, Ertianoba, is still created during this period. And I know how you, together with your partners, you are following daily, hourly, within the minutes, all the details coming from Unity. But at the same time, I really want to ask about the best experience, what you could share with us, please.
Thank you again, Georgi. I think the best experience and the lesson learned was that if the companies have this common values and the common vision, so it's much more easier to communicate, because the companies who support our initiative right away were the members of UN Global Compact in Georgia. So it means that if the companies have a CSR, it's much more easier to work together and to work with the common vision in order to overcome those challenges, for example, we were facing. So I think that, lessons learned is that the unity matters, and if you have a common value, so everything is workable.
Thank you, Nino, so much. Mihailo, Mr. Vesovic, so Mr. Serbian Chamber of Commerce, it's not just a question to the Chamber of Commerce, but also personally to you. You aggregated a lot of information during this period. And now you have just 1 minute to share with us one of them, the best one, the best lesson learned or experience, what you might share personally from yourself or from the point of Serbian Chamber of Commerce. Go ahead, Mihailo.
We already heard. I think that we could summarize what is the message and experience is basically 2 words: solidarity and flexibility, in every sense of the way. Solidarity between the companies, solidarity in bit lowering your expectation during the crisis, not burdening your partners, business partners immediately, basically accept the situation and be flexible towards it. The companies who were most flexible, who were digitally transformed, who could move from one set of products to the another set of products, had a better experience and will have a lower bad impact from the crisis. So for myself, I think that basically solidarity between the companies and flexibility inside companies. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was a part of my resume speech, but I'm sharing it with you. Fantastic, Mihailo. So, Mr. Wojciech Lorzyc, from your point of view, you don't need any intro in this part, so another minute is yours of the wrap. Please go ahead.
Yes, let me just underline one issue, the importance of building strong partnerships before the crisis comes, building them on the daily basis, to be able to lean on them during the crisis. I think it's the best way to build partnerships and then lean on our partners and let them lean on us. I think it's the way that may help us and our partners to stay strong, resilient during the crisis. That's the lesson.
Yes, that's it. Yes, we should stay strong, resilient, we should be sustainable. And at the same time, as a part of my resume speech, because we are in a phase of conclusion, what I really want to underline is that it was really part of like a Forbes panel, because you really represent as personalities and companies, Forbes companies, which are quite important for me personally, because if somebody will ask me in the next life, in the next panel, where I will not be a moderator, be a member of the panel, what are the best lessons learned is definitely what Mihailo has mentioned, is solidarity. We all represent businesses. We are all part of competition globally and locally, but I think that what we really miss is solidarity, and I hope that it's going to be achieved later or not. And I also hopes that all our businesses and all our institutions in all our countries going to be sustainable, and will meet all the next challenges what we will definitely expect. I hope you will all stay safe with a great health. My best regards to your families and colleagues. Let them all stay safe. Thank you so much. And I really want to thank UN Global Compact for this opportunity, for letting me in this fantastic society with ladies and gentlemen representing their countries, their companies. It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure leading this panel. Thank you so much. And I hope that we will continue our relations through the social networking and quite soon personally as well. What I really miss is personal relations, and I hope that it's going to be done as well. Thank you so much, all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
For the final stage, we all say here, thank you so much, moderator, and
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay healthy.
Thank you, moderator.
Thank you.
Thank you, moderator.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.